Convene to open session. Um, So, do we have anything to report on from closed session?
Yeah, from the student matter.
The script.
5A.
Oh, thank you
It
so
should be in
much.
your binder. It should be 5A.
Okay, so closed session items. Student discipline and other confidential matters, Education Code Sections 35146 and 48915B1. The board took action on a motion by trustee Maselli and seconded by trustee Hirsch to approve staff recommendation of student expulsion of student number 23-022 for the 2023-2024 school year by the following vote. Ayes 3, noes 0, absent 2, abstained 0. So this meeting is recorded for live streaming and archiving on the district YouTube channel. Do I read the whole thing? Nope, just that? Okay. And so, approval of the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as written.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Yes, trustee Grubbs,
Yes.
trustee Maselli,
Yes.
trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'd like to ask Stephanie, would you mind leading us in the pledge? Thank you. So our highlight today, Dr. Wright.
Okay, at this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Alfredo Romero, a Director of Maintenance and Operations, to do a presentation on the outstanding summer projects his crew could been completed.
Good evening, everyone. Board members, Dr. Wright, his esteemed cabinet, and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alfredo Romero. I'm the Director of Maintenance and Operations for the Benicia Unified School District. And I have the distinct pleasure of speaking to you about all of the hard work that the Maintenance Department took on this summer, 2023. And Ms. Georgina is going to help us with the slideshow. So without further ado, I'm wearing these readers now, so I'm not going to face the camera. The first slide is summer school. So we begin each summer by creating space for summer school. And there's a lot of planning, and that involves various departments, the bond, IT, CDU, special services, curriculum, along with the site administrators. We all get together to ensure that this happens seamlessly, and our BUSD custodians remain flexible during their summer cleaning to provide quality and daily service. And so what we're seeing here is pictures of the CDU program there at Joe Henderson. Next slide, if you'd be so kind. Custodial deep cleaning. So gonna take my hat off here to the custodians and sing their praises. This year, they faced a lot of different challenges with all the construction work and whatnot that was going on, and everybody just stepped up and stepped their game up and did a remarkable job, and they cleaned each and every room thoroughly and with the deep cleaning. These pictures here, with what they're showing are the 3 different tools that are used to clean a carpet so it comes out just right. And they don't stand for anything less, right? They're all about quality. And that's just an area rug, one area rug. They also strip and wax. They do complete deep cleaning of the entire classroom. So I'm very proud of this team, and it's an honor to work with them. And on speaking on teams, I want to speak a little bit about the grounds department. These pictures here are the trees that went in at the Benicia High School in the parking lot there in the front. During March of last year, we had a significant windstorm. There were a lot of trees that went down everywhere. The very old pine trees that were there had already been diseased, and with the windstorm, they were proven to be just too hazardous to remain. So with help from our partners from the Benicia Tree Foundation, the staff at the high school, and students at the high school, we were able to replant the trees on the left-hand side. Those all got replanted, and over the summer, our team ensured that they're alive and doing really well. In the next photo there to the right, what you're seeing is a tractor pulling a tree that was saved from Mary Farmer. The construction work that was going on there, one of our grounds crew had been watering this tree for years, was like, we're not going to let this one die. You know, it was a very expensive tree, and it was small enough for us to remove and transplant. And so that is at Joe Henderson in the back playground area that had no shade for those students back there in the CDU. So they're really happy with that tree, and that tree is very thankful as well. And our grounds department, they work with a lot of groups, the master gardeners, and they're kind of mentors in a way for our grounds team. But that team as well is firing on all cylinders. They're up at the crack of dawn, and a lot of times they're the last ones to turn off the stadium lights. And so they're here a lot, and they're on roofs, they're in ditches, they're everywhere, climbing trees and whatnot. So I'm really proud of them, and that crew is led by Ronnie Estrada, who has become a fantastic leader and motivator. So I'm really proud to work with them, and this summer they took care of a lot. Patching and painting. So we did a lot of work around painting. This summer we finished painting the middle school, the P-wing, and the E and F, the back of E and F, those hallways. And the big one was the gymnasium that was very difficult to access. Last year there was still some construction work going on, so we had to postpone that. This year that had wrapped up, and so we were able to get there, and we had to rent a huge crane truck. We had to use ladders and scaffolding and whatnot to get to each and every piece. So I was really proud of the safety that went on there. We didn't have one incident go on, considering the height and how complex that actually was. I was really proud of them, and that team is led by John Da Silva. He's been around for a very long time. He's very knowledgeable, and again, another great leader. But that's not the only rooms that were painted. On the left-hand side, what you see is the portables that were moved to Robert Temple. There was a lot of work done inside there by the bond, and they moved them, but in collaboration with the bond, we painted those portables. And once they got to Robert Temple, there were some bumps and bruises on them along the way, so we were able to touch them up and help there as well. But we also painted rooms, the Joe Henderson kitchen, some restrooms at Semple, offices at the high school, various cabinetries and walls throughout the district. So again, I was very proud of this team and all the work that they did. Custodians even helped us with some of that painting this summer. And so, yeah, we're looking pretty sharp right now. So this next slide is a playground at Robert Semple Childcare in partnership with the CDU and their fearless leader, Dr. June Regis. We scheduled the installation of swings that were not there before, shade structure that is over now the sandbox, and rock climbers. And I want to say that over the summer, we held summer school there at Robert Semple. And so it was pretty challenging to get this work done while those children were in school there. So the staff at Semple, just hats off to them. They were so accommodating and flexible. They moved the students when we had to. And in the end, you know, you could see the work progress there. That last photo to the right is the kids on the swings and on those rock climbers. And I'm a bit of a musician, or I like to pretend to be. But there's nothing sweeter than hearing those children laugh on the playground and just having fun. That's the best. So that was a very good project that happened this summer. Another project that happened at the middle school was the refinishing of the gym floors. There was some repair work that had to happen there. And after evaluating and after getting a few bids and whatnot, with the support of Mr. Rahill and Dr. Wright, we were able to move forward and get those repairs done. And the floors were completely sanded down, all the way down to the bare wood. And they were repainted with the new stripes that were needed per code. And the floor looks absolutely amazing. It changed the whole tone of that gym. Before it was kind of, I mean, even though it was clean, it was a little dark. Even though we had changed lighting and whatnot, with these new floors now, it's just improved so much, and almost don't want to play on there or walk across it. It looks so good, you know. But of course, the kids are enjoying it very much. So other floors and walls that were taken care of. So what we're seeing here is an in-house crew that we put together this summer, and they updated a lot of classrooms throughout the district with either new carpet or our new vinyl that we've been using. The gentleman you see there in the middle is Mr. Ed Millard, and the gentleman on the far right painting over there is Jason Morea. They're both maintenance technicians, or Ed is now the head custodian over at the middle school. And we did a lot of that work in-house, probably saving the district upwhere between $60,000 or $80,000 by doing this in-house. We did floors at the middle school, at Robert Temple, Joe Henderson, and Matthew Turner. We took on the worst floors that we knew we had. And so we feel like we can take a breath now, step back for next summer, and continue the process that we have. Really big project that happened this summer was the sewer mainline replacement at Robert Temple. So last year, we did a couple of emergency repairs out there, and we got us to the end of the year. Again, it was a challenge with all the different work that was going on there. There were different hurdles and scheduling that we had to work around to get this work done. But in the end, we had the complete sewer replaced, along with, inadvertently, we had, you know, some pipes had gotten broken, and so we repaired other storm line pipes and whatnot. And in the end, we decided to take out all the asphalt out of there and just make it all fresh and new and safe for the students there. And so that was a huge task. Again, hats off to Robert Temple staff for being flexible. We're closing off entire areas. They had limited restrooms for a little while and did not complain once, and just were very appreciative. And I'd like to express our appreciation of that. So next slide is restrooms and roofs. Not so long ago, I presented a report on the condition of our restrooms and our roofs, and the restrooms that were most needing help were the Joe Henderson restrooms in the AB and BC quad. And it was challenging. Those, again, we held summer school there. How are we going to juggle all that? And so we worked with a really good contractor. Our team went in, took out all the toilets and urinals and partitions in order to help speed this project along. And so we had the floors grinded down and a new epoxy finish put on them. Our team went back in there, put everything back in, and they're doing great. We did note that, you know, after coming back, once school got back in session, that the toilets, the urinals still weren't being flushed. And so there's little kids there, you know, and so we want to make sure that, you know, we got proper hygiene in there. So right now our plumber is putting in flushless or automatic flushometers on all the things. So yeah, we'll be doing good. He already started the project, and there's already a big difference. The last picture to the right there is a scupper over the central kitchen, which we're failing. We have two of those on the east side of the building. And they had been consistently leaking every winter. We're up there patching. We did our own repairs, whatnot. And this summer we had to tear it all out, start over. So that's part of the process, what you're seeing there. We know that we have no leaks now. We've tested it. And so what we're doing is we're resealing the entire roof now with the same coating that you see in that area. So in a week, we'll be ready for winter over at the central kitchen. And so this is my last slide here. And this is the work that is remaining. Our current condition is one of continual need. We have roofs around the district that are nearing their durability lifespan. We have old, inefficient HVAC units scattered around the district. And our sports field infrastructure is nearing a time for complete replacement. And so what we see here is the H-wing roof that we just unfortunately didn't have the time or material to take care of this summer. That middle picture there, those controllers are built in the 50s and installed thereafter. And, they just don't make parts for those anymore. We just can't find those things to get those up and running. And that last picture here is what you're seeing is the booster pump at the high school that controls the irrigation down on the baseball sports field. Midsummer, the pump just stopped working. We tried to get it repaired, nothing happening. We went to go buy a replacement pump. They don't sell them anymore. We had to have the old one custom made, new guts and everything put in it. And that's our team in-house putting it in. And we're back up and running, but it's, if it goes out again, who knows, right? And so in closing, I'd just like to say thank you. I appreciate my team. I appreciate the support. And if you have any questions.
I just have a comment. I just want to say thank you to you and your team. Your hard work is evident out there in the school sites. And I was at Robert Semple yesterday, and I heard about a gang of wild turkeys who got into one of the classrooms and really made a mess. And I'll tell you, the classroom looked beautiful. So really thank you to you and your team.
Thank you.
I was going to say the same. Thanks for all your hard work.
Me too, and I'm so glad the sewer lines got replaced. Thank you, and the roofs. Thanks so much.
Well, have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Georgina.
Now we come to student reports. So, Aliyah, did I say it right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Wright and fellow trustees and cabinet members. My name is Aaliyah Blackman, and it's a pleasure to be here tonight representing Liberty High School. Last week, we acknowledged Suicide Prevention Week. We learned about how it's okay to not be okay, and we shared how we could support our friends. And we want to thank Solano County of Ed for coming out and giving us a workshop about mental health and how we could support ourselves and others. I have faith that the students really took heed to what we learned, and, I just have faith, Okay, so this week we are recognizing the beginning of a Hispanic Heritage Month, and we have several activities planned. We will be visiting the Mission Cultural Center for Latino Arts, studying the long-lasting contributions of people like Dolores Huerta, reading works from Sandra Cisneros. We have several field trips planned, and last week, several of us went to the Kehinde Wiley art exhibit at the De Young Museum. And what I can say from what I've seen these artists are really passionate about the work and the hard work they put into it. It's amazing. Tomorrow we are going out sailing again, out on the replica of the Matthew Turner ship. And next week we are attending a play at the ACT in San Francisco. Lastly, we have started a pen pal program with the seniors living at Casa de Villarasa. And we want to thank Ms. Sauter for helping us put this together, and we look forward to building a new relationship with our neighbors across the way. On behalf of Liberty High School, thank you.
Thank you, Aaliyah. And next up, we have Jinjin Gao, the senior class president at BHS, and Joel Puno, ASB secretary at BHS.
Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Wright, fellow trustees and cabinet members. My name is Jinjin Gao, the senior class president.
And my name is Joel Puno, the ASB secretary for Benicia High School. Last week, Wednesday, September 13th, club charter packets were due for all clubs. We received many more club requests this year than last, with over 40 clubs diversifying and improving our after-school programs. The same Friday, September 15th, the progress report for quarter 1 grades were sent out to all parents. Due to air quality safety concerns, we have opened up the options for students to eat lunch inside the gym while also playing basketball afterwards. And the teachers have also opened up their classrooms to students as well.
Today, the Benicia High School economics class welcomed Travis Union, a credit union bank, to organize a financial simulation for students to help students understand what real world finances are like houses loans, credit cards, and auto purchases. It was a fantastic experience. Tomorrow, Friday the 22nd, we have a club fair at lunch, as well as an exciting home game for the football team, which are featuring the performances by the middle school band and appreciation for the Benicia High School charming teachers, and a large crowd of students and parents. Next week, Friday, September 29th, is the deadline to purchase homecoming tickets for Benicia High School. And Saturday, October 7th, is the homecoming dance from 8 to 11 p.m. at BHS. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
That was wonderful, and if you would like to go on with the rest of your evening, you certainly can do so. Thanks so much for being
Good
here.
night.
So next is the superintendent's report. Dr. Wright?
Okay, good evening. I got to tell you again, the learning walks have become the highlight of my week. Going to the classrooms and seeing our outstanding teachers delivering instruction and our students responding to it is even more exciting. This past week, we were at Henderson. Again, I had the opportunity to work with the little ones, so it was TKs through second grade, I believe, are the classrooms that I went in. And I think I select those because they make you seem like a star when you walk in. It doesn't matter who you are, they're going to look at you and wave until you wave back. But, you know, and I'm just amazed how our teachers are able to engage our students and keep them engaged at that level, at that age. And they were even able to tell you what they're learning. You know, I asked that question, hey, what are you learning? I'm learning the short E. I was like, oh, okay. So our teachers are definitely sharing the lesson objective and they're responding to it. Had an opportunity to have an activity in a kindergarten class. We had postcards with capital letters and lowercase letters, and it was a social skills activity. So I had to walk up to a student and you have the lowercase b, what do I have? And then you trade cards and you just interact. So I had a good time. If you have an opportunity, we do them every Wednesday morning, so please join us. I'll send you the schedule. We'd love to have you join us on the learning walks. And Dr. Beetson, thank you for organizing them. Upcoming events, we have a budget roadshow scheduled for October 10th at 6 p.m. We're going to host that event here in the boardroom, and we'll also have an overflow room in the Liberty Gym right across the way. The event will be live streamed and recorded, so you can also watch it from your home. So you can expect some communication, probably starting early next week to go out. We'd love to see you there. Give you an opportunity to learn a little bit more about school finance, which is very complex, and just the state of the BUSD budget and some of the programming decisions that we're going to be faced with moving forward in the outer years. We also have another exciting event coming up, a vaping awareness event, and we're going to do that on November 15th. And it's going to be a student-led presentation by our Friday Night Live group at BHS, but they're also collaborating with County Health and County Office of Education, Solano County Office of Education. There'll be a panel. Students are going to lead this presentation. We're really looking forward to this event because, you know, Benicia, we're not unique. We're like the other schools in our country where students are engaging in vaping activities. So we do want to bring some awareness to it, make sure that our students and parents understand the dangers of it. And again, this event will also be live streamed and it'll also be recorded. Location to be determined. We're thinking district office, but if we do an RSVP and we get a bigger, if we have folks that are going to want to attend, we may need to go to BHS and maybe see if their PAB is available, just depending on what type of response we get. So that communication, you can expect that to go out in the near future as well. As Ms. Blackman stated earlier, it's Hispanic Heritage Month, September 15th through October 15th. It's a time to recognize and honor our Hispanic and Latino community achievements, the culture and contribution to the nation's history. The theme for 2023 is Latinos Driving Prosperity, Power, and Progress in America. And just to share one fun fact, according to Google, nearly 5 million Hispanic-owned businesses contribute over $8 billion to the U.S. economy. I'm sorry, $800 billion annually to the U.S. economy annually. Thanks for the catch. And that's all I have today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wright. Do we have any board reports?
Yes. Okay. I do. I had a busy couple of weeks. I have 3 items. The first one that I'd like to start with is I attended the middle school back to school night, and it was phenomenal. The new administration had all of the attendees come to the multipurpose room for a half-hour presentation, and they were all dressed in suits. Principal Nelson went through a slideshow and introduced every single member of staff, custodians, food services, everybody by name. And I thought it was phenomenal. And I think the parents who attended really enjoyed it, the community members who attended. It was a very well-run event, and I think things are off to a great start at the middle school. My second thing is I was invited to come speak about your rights as a citizen at a Boy Scout meeting. And I sat with about 8 scouts, mostly 9th graders, a couple of 8th graders. And they were very curious about the structure of local government, how the school board operates, what's the purpose of the school board. I brought our agenda for tonight to that meeting to show them the things that we cover. I talked about the budget a little bit. And they were very interested. And I thought, wow, it'd be really cool if we could get some students involved in our board. Just putting that out there. But I thank the Boy Scouts BSA for having me. It was very fun. And then the third item, I was invited to go to Robert Semple yesterday to be part of the inclusive story time. And I read a story about Rosh Hashanah and discussed the cultural practices behind that. And it was an amazing experience. The Robert Semple PTG organizes inclusive storytime sessions each month, and they have somebody from the community come in, read the kids a book. Classes can sign up. There's 5 different time slots. We had 4 yesterday. I was exhausted. My hat is off to all of our educators and staff. It's an amazing thing, and I hadn't been at Robert Semple since I was a student there, and so to go in was really special. I was very impressed with the PTG's program, and I thought it did a lot toward encouraging a sense of belonging, which is really, it's just so valuable and important. And I'm hopeful that, maybe we can get something going at other schools as well. It was awesome, and I thank the PTG for having me.
Nice.
Thank you, Mrs. Hirsch. Mr. Maselli? Okay, so onward. Comments from the public. All functions of BUSD board meetings, all functions of the BUSD has moved to in-person board meetings. Masks are strongly recommended, but not required. All functions of the board meetings, including public comments, will take place in person. Members of the public may address the board at a regular meeting on any item within the board's jurisdictions. Speaker cards are available at the entrance table. Please note the item you wish to speak to and submit a card to the board secretary. The board president will call all the open session general comments, Government Code Section 54954.3, during the public comment item. Comments for items on the agenda will be called during the specific item. Comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker, or the board may limit the total time to 20 minutes per item with the timer displayed on the monitors. By law, no action may be taken on any item raised during the public comment periods, and matters may be referred to staff for placement on a future agenda of the governing board. Please be reminded to keep your comments respectful, as students may be watching the board meeting. Thank you. Do we have any comments? Onward. Approval of the consent calendar. Item 11, background information on these items is provided to the board prior to the meeting. A common motion takes action without discussion on roll call votes unless discussion of items is requested by the board members. Can I have a motion?
I move that we approve the consent calendar as written.
And I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call?
Trustee Grubbs.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
Thank you. Approval of Resolution 232402, establishing appropriations limit pursuant to the GAN limit. Do we need a separate roll call for that?
We need a separate roll call. We have the same motion, so that's not a problem. So I'm going to start with the roll call. Trustee Grubbs.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
Thank you.
And also, item 11E, consideration and approval of Resolution 2324-5, declaration of obsolete library media materials for Matthew Turner Elementary Schools. And we need a separate vote?
Yes. Trustee Grubbs.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
And item 12A, Federal Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Grant, ESSER 3 updates, but I'm not sure whose.
That's me.
Is that you?
Surprise! Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. This is a routine update as required by the Federal Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Grant. It's one of our one-time funds that came in over COVID. And one of the requirements is that I bring you an update every 6 months. And so we are at that point, just to let you know where we are in the spending. And so just as a reminder, the ESSER 3 funds, we had to write a plan, which you did approve. Really, it was targeted to address the social, emotional, and mental health needs of students as we returned from COVID. On that left side of that slide, you can see all the times I've brought this plan back to you, just as an update. And 20% of the funds had to be used to address academic impact, along with social, emotional intervention. And so we basically wrote that grant in 3 buckets. So part of that money was spent on mental health and mental health services that we offered through the LCAP. All of this was also approved through the LCAP as well. We had accelerating student progress as another bucket that we spent some of this funding on. And then the last was for some professional development. And at this time, all of that money has been spent or will be spent throughout this year because it's for a salaried position. Absolutely.
Item 13A, public hearing. Action item resolution number 23-24-03 regarding sufficiency or insufficiency of instructional materials. Is that you, Dr.
That's me
Beetson?
again.
Yes. I'm going to close the meeting. Dr. Beetson?
Sure. Ed Code requires that within, I believe it's the first 8 weeks of school, I need to bring this to the board to let you know that any new or replacement textbooks have been purchased and passed out to teachers. So one of the things that we always do is we do our ordering in the spring. We look at what our enrollment numbers are then, and then my office sends out communication to staff saying, do you have everything that you need? Has everything come in case we have new students over the summer, or something was lost and damaged? We are all set. Everyone has everything except for 6 French textbooks, which are still on order. They just have not arrived yet. However, the students do have access through their online textbooks, which is in accordance with saying, yes, we have sufficiency of materials. It's really about the 4 core areas, actually, that this law goes to, which is ELA, math, science, and social studies. So this law is really about those subjects, but we try to make sure that every student has what they need. There are also some math cards that are missing from one classroom, and a few of the wooden letters that students can trace that are a component of the handwriting curriculum. But everything else has come into.
Thank you. Action item number 13B, consideration and approval of the 2022.
We have
Sorry. Okay.
We still have to take action on that one. You're gonna, there wasn't no public comments. You're gonna close the public hearing, and we're gonna take action on it.
So do I have, what is our action? Am I asking for a motion?
Motion for the resolution.
A motion for the resolution?
Move that we approve resolution 232403.
And I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Trustee Grubbs.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
And now we are at, am I opening up the public meeting?
Oh, no, you're already closed.
Good. You
I'm already closed.
it.
Okay. 13B, consideration and approval of the 2022-23 unaudited actuals financial report for the 2023-24 budget for the Benicia Unified School District. And I believe that's Mr. Rahill.
Got it. Thank you so much. Yeah, good evening. And we do have this item for your action tonight to review and approve the 22-23 unaudited actuals. And each year, you as the governing board review this report along with the budget. And the report is prepared with information with the adopted state budget and current information available through the programs and the LCAP. The report does provide for the state's 3% reserve for economic uncertainties, as well as the board policy reserve, which provides for that positive certification for this report for the 22-23 unaudited actuals. And so in your packet, we have included information on our 22-23 unaudited actuals, as well as our 23-24 budget. It follows the same format that we've seen with the prior financial reports. So I'll go through them. If you want to slow down and talk more about it, please do so. If we want to skip some of the more detailed pages on staffing, we might choose to do that as well. And so this first page is the key fiscal factors that all school districts consider, not only for the current year, but over the next 3 years. And we are in the education business and do that with our staff for the most part. And so we have our salary costs related to salaries and retirement systems. In some cases, our workers' comp or unemployment may see some increases from year to year. We are also in number 2, we have seen significant one-time dollars that started out as COVID and kind of morphed into stimulus funds, one-time in nature, that we've tapped into and have kind of developed a rolling plan to try to spread those funds over several years in accordance with our LCAP. So if we want to continue, we're okay for this year. We have enough funding to continue to do the same things in 24-25. But in 25-26, our one-time funds for that purpose from the state are running out. So we have some work to do. We have some time to plan and talk about those programs funded through the LCAP with one-time funds. Maybe more one-time funds will pop up from the state, or maybe there'll be some other resources that can help us continue the programs that we want to do that. There's a few other grants that we're paying attention to, and a new one is Prop 28 for arts and music. So those are going to be spread out to all of our school sites, and we'll be able to tap into that to expand our art and music programs at all schools. And very good. This year in 22-23, under number, it's towards the bottom of number 2, we just paid a little closer attention to our program for special education. That we are seeing increased program needs as well as a reduction in funding. So it's kind of a double financial hit to us. And so we have to monitor that closely and continue to work with our county special ed group to try to maximize our revenues from that group. The next big factor in number 3 are how many students we have enrolled, and then also just a recognition that the state doesn't fund us just simply on enrolling students, but those students actually have to attend school, and we refer to that as ADA, average daily attendance. So you can see that the first number across the columns, it's pretty small changes. 24-25, we'll see if we lose 40. Just a comment that the state is phasing in 4-year-olds to the transitional kindergarten, the TK program. And so with the addition of those kids, it is masking a little bit the reduction from K to 12. So even though our K to 12 might be reducing slightly, the addition of the 4-year-olds coming into TK are kind of balancing that out a little bit. So our official enrollment count will be in first week of October, and we can look at those numbers, update the outer years when we bring back the next financial report in December. So the other thing, we do get some, we get an added amount of funding for our students in an unduplicated student population, those learning English learners and foster youth, and then also those who qualify for the free and reduced meals. So we have 26% of our student population qualifies for one of those groups, and so that adds to our funding. As our enrollment changes over the years, we also in number 4, we look to adjust staffing as appropriate to match those needs. Every year the governor proposes and the legislature goes back and forth in regards to what a cost of living allowance will be. In the current 23-24 year, that's been approved at 8.22%. And you can see currently in the outer years, they're both under 4% in the 3% range. So those outer years will definitely, I would say, will definitely change. Maybe they won't, but they usually do. And we will first hear what they look like in January when the governor releases his governor's January budget proposal for the next budget year, 24-25. Already starting to plan for the upcoming next budget year when we just started school. And then we use all of that information to drop into our local control funding formula. There's a calculator that we file with the state and plug in the numbers with our ADA and the COLAs and generate the additional monies provided through the LCFF. So the next tab, again, the intent here, there's a lot of numbers on this page. It quantifies or attempts to quantify the additional costs that our school district, like all other school districts in California, are submitting to the retirement systems that have been struggling to make their payments to their retirees. And so we historically, way back in 13-14, had pretty much locked in rates for both the STRS retirement system and the PERS retirement system. But you can see since 2013-14 that the rates have increased significantly over the years. And so we have to budget those additional deposits into the retirement system for our employees. As we go to the next slide, we have our revenues for our school districts. So after the close, we have the updated budget for 23-24. Our revenues are just under 61 million. And the biggest piece of the pie there is what we call LCFF, local control funding formula, based on our student attendance and what the state funds us per student. The rest is made up of a variety of state, funding, state grants, federal grants, and other local. We did provide on the next tab a special tab that we have started providing over the last couple times to really point out that our revenues for one particular program in special ed have been reduced. It has been reduced by a little bit more since the last time you saw this. I believe it was under 600,000 the last time, but we got some updated spreadsheets. So now it's at a negative 627,000 as compared from this year to last year. On our expenditure side, on the next tab.
Tim, or Mr.
yes,
Rehill,
yes,
can I
yes,
ask you
yes.
one question? Back on the special ed expenditures, just to clarify, since we received less money than anticipated, we're going to be making up that from our general fund.
That is correct. Yeah, special ed, to the extent that we do not get the special ed funding through our special ed Solano County group, which every school district is required to belong to a special ed regional group, and Benicia's, I think, always been part of the Solano County group. There might be one or two of those that come directly to us, but the majority of those come through that Solano County special ed group. So yeah, to the extent it doesn't come through from them, then the district would be faced with contributing into the program to continue operating the services.
Thank you.
In the previous slide, where it says rate increases and rates, does that include, is that just the district share of STRS and PERS, or does that include the staff share and the district share?
Yeah, on that slide, that just is the district contribution, the district cost. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, in addition to what we as an employer contribute to the pension plan, each one of our employees that are in the retirement system, they also have a percentage come out of their paycheck to contribute into the retirement system.
Thank you for that.
Okay, and then on the expenditure sheet at $63 million, again, we providing the services to our students through our employed staff. And so we're about 87% of our budget from salary and our certificated and classified staff, along with those employee benefits. And the remaining amount we use for the supplies and services. We are considered to be operating at a deficit, and that is in large part due to what we refer to as one-time carryovers, when we get restricted programs or other programs that we can't spend all the money for those programs in one year. We record the revenue in that earlier year, and then when the expenditures hit, that will create such a deficit. So, and a big part of that operating deficit would be attributed to these state one-time grants that we're using to support our LCAP goals. We'll click on that next slide, which is our staffing summary over the last several years. And you can see over the years that we have enjoyed an increase in our workforce during kind of the mid-COVID years when we got additional funding to add programs. And so we made a conscious decision to use some of our state one-time grants to fund positions, which have increased our staff over the last few years. It's kind of stabilized now over the last 2 years with a few slight changes on each line. I'm going to go ahead and skip over the next several tabs because each one of those line items has detail by site, by departments that details each one of those, and it was included in the last report, and there really haven't been any changes. So,
Can I ask on the
Yep.
staff teachers, what's the one-time line 19? None until this year we have one.
Where are we at?
FTE.
Oh, are you on a different tab of staff teachers?
No, under, you had staff summary.
Yes,
And then the next tab was staff teachers. I
yes,
guess breaking it down in the bottom one on the staff teacher one.
yes, there is
What does that mean,
one
one
time.
time?
So in the 23-24 year, there were significant changes in our staffing assignments, and at that point in time, beyond the cutoff date, it appeared that we might have one teacher to help fill in some of the gaps. Now that the dust has settled, we're going to go back and see where everyone got assigned and see if that position is needed or if we can not have to utilize that.
The money would go back.
Yes.
It looks as though
You're good at trend analysis, so you see a line of zeros with a 1.
that was, and it also looks as though, well, because you know, you look at the previous one on the staff summary, certificated going back from 1920 or especially 2021 forward, there's an increase, which is
Yes.
weird when you have a decrease of students. But then if you look, the elementary has only gained a few, the middle school's lost teachers, the high school's lost teachers, but the definite increase seems to be in resource and SDC, which you said a lot more kids are getting, you know, yeah,
Identified with services needed.
identified for SPED, which mean, and you have to provide the services, so you have to have the people to provide the services. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so if we scroll, we have just a few more slides, and we'll go past the staffing slides. I also will go as fast as or as slow as you want me through these next pie charts that start with the expenditures for benefits. And what this does is on the summary for the expenditure, you have a series of tabs that details what all the different detailed line items are within benefits. Like on this page, the $16.5 million that we spend on benefits, you can see is our retirement system, Social Security, health benefits, dental, and the rest. And so if we'll just kind of, if you have a question, please stop me. The next one is a supply pie chart. So $2.4 million. Most of that is books and materials and supplies, makes up for over 75%. Services is about $6.7 million, and there's a couple slides here that detail out all of the services here. For example, this one has, out of the 6.7, there's 3.3 million for professional, but we have a separate pie chart that breaks that down a little bit more. You can see utilities at breaking $1 million, insurance almost 600,000.
Professional services, when it says school program services, can you give me an example, please, what that means?
Yes, there's a whole nother pie chart that breaks it
Oh,
down.
I
in a
should have
couple
waited.
two more tabs.
Okay, then.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you got it. You're just a little bit ahead.
Very rare for me.
Yeah, and so our utilities at PG&E, gas and electric, almost 700,000, water and sewer just over 300,000, alarms, recycling about 35,000. That's detailed. Yeah, that was detailed at the bottom. It was a little bit cut off there. So I mentioned in that last slide, we had professional services of 3.3 million. And then you say, well, that's great. Now you just showed school program services. That's 2 million. So there's one more tab that breaks down that $2 million for us. But you can see here the other items in this category are software and legal, our school resource officer, and some transportation and other systems in the district. And then that last school program services of 2 million is detailed on that last tab there. And almost half of that is in our special ed program for specialized services that aren't provided by our employed staff. ELOP, our after school program, that's a big one. We contract with community partners as well as employ our own staff and certificated and classified. So it's a partnership to provide after school programs for all of our elementary schools, and just new, I think this year, 6th grade at Benicia Middle School. We would love to have the 6th graders come and join us in the after-school program. There's actually opened, I think, for an hour before school too. So there's an opportunity for 6th graders. All right. The next tab shows where we're at currently with our fund balance. So we mentioned earlier, we do have the 3% reserve and the board policy reserve. We do have the commitment that we asked the board to pass a resolution, and they did in the past at the $1,725,000. And so we're starting the conversation with the board in future meetings about the potential need to tap into that to help us provide for our books and instructional materials in the outer years. And so the resolution has that in there at the $1,725,000, and probably with the next reports, we'll continue that conversation with you and provide more information about why we have that need and why we will be asking you to consider using that. But for now, it is there. And then towards the bottom, just something also that we'll be talking about through the restricted state new one-time grants, the LCAP goals at $2,657,000. So that's a nice chunk that will be carried into next year to help us continue using those one-time funds for our LCAP goals and our LCAP. Dr. Beatson is starting the process for a new, is it a 3-year LCAP? So we are in this year's the 3rd year of a 3-year LCAP. And so she is leading the district effort with the new 3-year LCAP, and we'll be working together to address funding will be part of that conversation. So this is a big one. This will be really engaging the El Capitans, the group that meets monthly with Dr. Beatson, is made up of staff, probably from all school sites.
We have the El Capitans has 3 BTA leaders on there, one from middle, one from high, one from elementary. And then we have some admin, parents, and this year students on that as well.
And just a few more slides after this one. This is a detailed sheet. It goes down a little bit further. So these are the detail for the larger summarized numbers on the previous page. So if you were curious what makes up those large numbers, you can click and look at these numbers. The top one, when the state gives us new one-time funds, they just can't give it to us in one pot. We're fortunate that they only broke up this one into 2 pots. The original COVID, when it was between federal and ESSER, there were probably 10 or more different pots of money in order for us to get those funds. So yeah, we have the next 4 slides. We'll just click on them. They haven't changed. We'll probably be reaching out and seeing how these numbers are sticking. But these are kind of big projects that are always ongoing. We have a tech refresh plan for our students and staff. So we really got more dependent on technology during COVID, and that's continued on after COVID. We have our curriculum adoption 5-year plan. And so we have all of our different subjects and the pretty impressive amounts that we invest in our instructional materials and the costs associated with that. So we have basically utilized and used up all of our carryovers for our books this year. And so we'll be, that's why we'll be coming back to you and asking consideration to use part of that $1,725,000 to help us with books, not this year, but for the next year to meet some of the things that you see on this page. The next page reminds us that we have a very successful school facility bond program, and that we have done everything possible to go to the state and get matching funds. According to this, the last time this was presented about $11,377,000 that we were able to tap into on top of the local Measure S bond proceeds, which it's a little bit more than the 49.6 million due to interest and some other deposits into there. But we just really feel good that the community invested in this Measure S bond from 2014. And we are at the end of those funds, and they are all committed to existing projects. So we will be bringing back that to the school board too at a future board meeting to show you everything that we've been able to do. Those handful of projects that are remaining with these funds, and then a pretty extensive list of additional projects that are still unfinished or haven't even started. So there is that one. In addition to the school facility bond program, which kind of builds new things and also does major modernization to facilities. Mr. Romero presented earlier as Director of Maintenance and Operations. We also just have to take care and keep things in working order that don't really qualify under the bigger bond program. And so there's a variety of roofing and plumbing and asphalt and deferred maintenance type of things that this is a summary sheet. We should probably send that out to you, the detailed report, so you can kind of see what goes behind those summarized numbers. But you can just see that it's over 2 million in certain years and over 1 million in others. So we have extensive deferred maintenance needs, which if a district like Benicia has a bond, a facility bond, sometimes, and really a lot of times, the bond program, when it does those major things, it does take some of the deferred maintenance projects off or delays them until later. So the bond program does help us in our deferred maintenance plan. In summary, we have some multi-year projections. So again, this is just a summary of where we are now and into the future based on the slides that you saw earlier. We remind ourselves on the next slide that we do have reserves, and there is a long list of reasons why a school district maintains a reserve, including being an essential part of a sound budget. There are uncertainties in the state budget. Things do go up and down. Hopefully they don't take money away from us like they have in the past, but that's just always something to consider as you look at a budget. The second to last step is a historical slide of our operations, our annual operations, and then towards the bottom is also our annual fund balance. So I know that is a lot of information. I kind of went through a little bit fast. It kind of follows the same format that we have in the past. I'll just kind of wrap it up here and see if you have any other questions or comments. Our next step is, once approved by the school board, this 22-23 unaudited actual report. We do file that like we do each time with the Solano County Office of Education and the California Department of Ed. It's called unaudited actuals because now we also hand this over to our financial auditors. They complete their audit based on this report, and then they bring to you their independent audit report, most likely in December. Sometimes it's January, but if they're on track, you would see that audit financial report at the December school board meeting.
Thank you. Can I just ask, who does our audits? Is that?
Yeah, we use, it's a CPA firm, James Marta CPA firm. I believe their main office is out of Sacramento.
Have we used them for a long time?
We have, yes.
James what?
James Marta, M-A-R-T-A.
Okay. So thank you, Mr. Rahal. Does anybody have any questions? A lot of information.
One question. On the summary slide toward the end, before next steps, I was looking at the bar graph And is the red expenses and the blue revenue?
The on the bar graphs at the bottom,
Yeah.
it is that is our fund balance down at the bottom, and the blue is the mandatory reserves, and the red are the reserve for one time and ongoing items lumped together.
Okay.
So it's they just
Got it.
yes.
Okay. Anyone else? Do I have a motion to approve the unaudited actuals financial report for the 2023-24 budget for BUSD?
I move that we approve the 2022-23 unaudited actual financial report with 23-24 budget for BUSD.
And I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call?
Trustee Grubbs.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
So that concludes our meeting for tonight. Our next regular governing board meeting will be Thursday, October 5th, 2023, and we'll see you all then. Thank you.